am Dr. Deb. Welcome again to my stream. How are you guys? It is Thursday, it's 1 o'clock Eastern time, and that is the reason why I'm talking to you. So please, I say this every week, but I have to say it every week. Please chat in. Tell me you're there. Tell me you're hearing me. Tell me you agree, you disagree. Answer my questions. Ask me questions. Anything so that I feel like I'm not talking to a computer screen. Please. I know you're there. I see the numbers. Just chat in. Don't be shy. Okay? Okay, you guys. So today's talk, be brave. Whoa, what's that all about? Be brave. When a person cheats, I am saying that cheating, sorry about any noises you hear, there's construction next door. I am saying that a person who's cheating is not at all taking care of themselves. They are doing the opposite of taking care of themselves. They are escaping. They're in a fantasy world. That's right. And if they're brave, then what are they doing? Who are they confronting? And why do I call cheating a fantasy world? What's going on here? Just chat in, guys. Why do I call cheating a fantasy world? Okay, I'm not going to let too much time go by if you don't. If you are watching this on the replay, please comment. Put in your 2 cents. It's good for people to find that there are people engaged in the video. So I keep hearing from people they like the videos, but if you don't chat in, no one will know that they're worthwhile, and they'll say, I don't want to watch this before they even start. So please, the chats really help other people to benefit, which is the whole point. All right, guys? So why do I say that they're really not taking care of themselves if they're cheating? Well, let's look at all the reasons why people would cheat. Do they know what they want? And if they know what they want, why are they not going after it in the best possible way? Don't forget, when you cheat, you have, and you marry the person you cheat with, you have a very, very, very small chance of success. The statistics keep changing, but generally speaking, 75% of second marriages fail. And that's because you didn't do the hard job of asking yourself, what do I really want? And how can I get it? What's the point of being good, like in business, and successful, making a lot of money? That means you know what you want in that domain. Why can't you apply that same thing to your heart, soul, feelings, emotions, and everything else? So let's look at some of the reasons why people might cheat. 1, to be understood. They feel they're not understood. 2, to feel alive because they feel dead. 3, for excitement because their life is boring. 4, to feel part of because they feel alone otherwise. 5, to feel important because they may feel like they're minimized, like they're not important to their spouse. 6, to feel sexy, desirable, wantable. And 7, to be able to respect the person they're with because they don't respect their spouse. So let me ask you a question. Why are these things happening? And why aren't they doing something about it in their marriage? If they really don't feel good about who they are, let's say they don't feel understood, why not? Now, there's 2 reasons why a person might not feel understood. One reason is because they're not explaining what it is they really want to say. They're not explaining what they want. Instead, they go in a roundabout way to take care of what it is they want, and you don't get it. Another reason why people might cheat and feel not understood is because they are explaining what they want and it's not working. They're as clear as could be. They've said it 1,000 times and it's not working. Why isn't it working? Does their spouse not want to understand? Or does their spouse have some kind of a mental block to understanding, like the world of emotions, for example? Maybe that door got closed on them years ago. Could be. Let's go on to the second one, to feel alive because they don't feel connected to anything. Well, why don't they? Did they cut themselves off? Did they cut off their emotions? Did they cut off their feelings so as not to feel pain years and years ago? You know, I've met a bunch of men. I can't say who they are, but I've met a bunch of men who like to make jokes. They make jokes at the most inappropriate times according to the person they're married to. Why? Why do they gloss over everything with a joke? Well, a joke is a good way not to go deep into real feelings. Smooth it over with humor. Maybe that's why they feel dead and they have to make jokes and they have to cheat and they have to be charming to somebody else because they aren't going into who they are and what they really want. They are cut off from themselves. What about excitement? You know, sometimes a person has an addiction and they need that excitement. That addiction is what keeps them going. But why? Where did that come from? Why do they have an addiction in the first place? Moving on. To feel part of, to feel belonging instead of feeling lonely and alone. Why? You know, this is a great example of the fallacy of the date night. If a person is cut off and they're not having deep conversations, all the date nights in the world are not going to change that. Why aren't they? What's the obstacle? What's missing? Number 6, to feel sexy and desirable. So let me ask you a question. Is this a power play? Like, if you want me and I can play not interested, does that give me more power? And the me can be the female or the male. But is it a power play? Why don't they feel sexy and desirable? Are they beautiful? Or do they just not care? Are they wearing something sexy to bed, or are they wearing an old dumpy pair of pajamas that should have been thrown away? I don't know. But what's going on? We have so many whys to ask. And finally, the number 7 that I have is to be able to respect the person they're married to, and they're not respecting them, so they're going to go cheat with someone else. Well, let me ask you, why? Has that person done things that they just don't respect? If so, why aren't they talking about it? Why isn't it coming up? If they're talking about it, why hasn't something been done about it? There's so many questions. And all these whys require an answer. That's the reason why I said that it takes guts. Because the real person you have to look into is yourself. And many people come to counseling pointing a finger. He's the problem. No, she's the problem. No one's the problem. Each person needs to look at themselves, because each person takes half the responsibility if things aren't going well. Even if one person's an abuser, because then the other person has to say, why haven't I done anything about that? Now, there are cases, and I know many of them, where you can't and you're stuck, and I appreciate that. The abuser will not go to therapy, And they will keep abusing, and they threaten to make your life miserable if you divorce. And you can believe them. So yeah, those are cases that you are stuck. I still wish that those people would look into talking to me, because I'm real gentle, even on abusers. I am, because I don't believe an abuser is an abuser in their core, in their heart of hearts. I don't believe it. I think people use abuse as a way of getting their head above water. Even when they say they want control, it's because they feel out of control. If they didn't feel internally out of control, they wouldn't need to exert control on an external basis. But all of those notwithstanding, every person owes it to themselves to look inside. And that's why it takes guts. So let's look at a couple of examples from everything I have been sharing. And I don't see anyone chatting in. You are out there. Please say something. Not just I'm here. It's good if you say that. But am I making sense? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think I left out something? Do you think I ought to put in something that you thought of, whatever it might be? Name it, please. Please say something as I talk, because I will respond. I will not mention your name when I respond. I don't do that. I don't give away privacy. I don't do that. So let's take a first, second, and third example. We'll see how far we get with our examples. No one is chatting in. Okay, the first one was to be understood, and I said, are you hiding yourself? Or is the other person just not capable of understanding what's going on? So every example is a made-up story. I never tell my clients stories. But, I've read also a lot of books written by therapists and researchers. So what I'm saying is a compilation of everything I've experienced and everything I've read. And I make up names. So Jean was molested as a child. And she put on lots of weight because that was a great way to keep her abuser away from her. It worked. She was so unattractive that her abuser just didn't want to deal with her, which, by the way, doesn't always work. But that is one reason why people who put on weight as children may keep it on forever. And so she's used to hiding herself because that was safety for her. That was protection for her. She's used to hiding herself. And at the same time, she craves connection. Remember, in the act of sexual abuse, there is a connection. And a little child can tell themselves, my parent, usually it's daddy loves me at that moment. I know it's very confusing, right? But the child wants connection, wants to be loved. Either that or they tell themselves very awful things about themselves, which is probably going along with it. So what is this person doing? She has two opposites at war within her, right? She's keeping you away if that's the person you married. And she's also craving the connection. And she's at war with herself. How do you resolve that? Guys, how do you resolve that? You resolve it with therapy, my dear friends. The only way to resolve it is to reach that wounded inner child, the little girl inside of her that hated what was happening to her, and justifiably so. And who's going to be there to rescue her now? Who can rescue her little inner child? There's only one person, and it's not the person she married, it's herself. Because the person she married can never make up for the past. And even herself can't make up for a lack of two healthy, good, well-intentioned parents either. but she can go a long way to making it up to her wounded inner child. And if this does not make sense to you, then please go back to my channel at DrDeb Empowers and watch all those videos there, which walk you through the process that I take in a very fun way with stories like this one and all the people that I've made up to make those stories make sense. And you'll see how that works. And there's also videos on my website too. You can go to the top menu and you'll find the videos. So yeah, she can. In fact, it's the only way I know of and have ever heard of in trauma work that works. If your therapist stands in for you and tells you what a wonderful person you are, you can opt to not believe them. But if you yourself feel convinced that you were a good person, you have the power to heal that wounded inner child. But I get it. This person, Jean, is scared to even go there. And that's why I said it is hard, and you do need to be brave to get that show started. Let's go to number 2. I made up a reason for people cheating. This was to feel alive because they feel dead. So we'll talk about Richard. Richard's wife reminds him of his mother. She's judgmental, blaming, and critical. Well, that's very unattractive. And he's kind of like sagged down, like a pin was put in his balloon. When he goes to bed, the only way he can have sex is to go somewhere else instead of to where he really is. Well, what kind of a way of life is that? He's totally disconnected from his wife, but he's also disconnected from his own emotions. And what's more, he's not giving himself the joy that sex should bring to a marriage. Where's the joy? It isn't there. So he would really have to ask himself, why isn't he confronting his wife? What is it about me that's afraid to confront my wife? Oh, she'll fight more, she'll yell more, she'll scream more. What is it about me that's afraid to divorce my wife? What is it about me that's afraid to give her an ultimatum? That either she's going to go to therapy, to DrDeb if they live in New York, or a great therapist that I'll recommend to you if you don't live in New York. What is keeping him from doing that with his wife? Listen, that's facing yourself. That's confronting your scarediness. Okay. Now, if he cheats, he can get away with just blaming his wife. And what kind of a life is that? He's in a fantasy world. He cannot pretend his wife doesn't exist and that part of his life doesn't exist. And it's not a marriage. It's no one to come home to. It's a relief, the way a good sneeze is a relief. Yeah, sex is a relief too. Sexual pressure, bing, you're done. Come on, what kind of a life is that? That's not a life. Okay, let's go to number 3. For number 3, I said, maybe they have an addiction. Why do they want excitement? Anyway, I mean, sex should be exciting enough. Why do they want to cheat to get more exciting? What is it about cheating that gives you excitement? So let's talk about Steve. Steve was neglected as a child. He had this hollow feeling in the pit of his stomach, just thinking about what it was like to be 4 years old and come home from school to an empty house. That is scary, scary, scary to a child. And when his mother came home, did she smile at him? Did she say, "Thank you for being a big boy and staying there alone"? Did she say she's sorry that she had to let him be a latchkey kid? Did she say anything? No. So Steve was just alone in a place of total emptiness for most of his life, until at 14 he got in with a gang, and it was so much fun. They stole cars. They even did a little shoplifting. It was so much fun. They sold drugs. They made money. Wow. All that excitement took away his numbness. As an adult, nothing normal worked to give him excitement. Nothing normal worked because his brain was used to a certain level of excitement. That's what drugs, porn, addictions of other kinds often do. Some bring you down, many bring you up. It depends on the substance or the activity. Gambling is a great example of that, and cheating can be another example. Shoplifting, it's just for the thrill of doing it, knowing you're being chased and getting away. Well, resolving that problem means revisiting that 4-year-old that's empty and scared and lonely and feels like a piece of garbage in his parents' eyes. Yeah. So does he want to go to therapy and resolve that? Well, I said it takes courage. You got to be brave. Be brave, guys. Men, women, everyone, when I say guys, be brave and face yourself, face your pain, because you know what? I promise you, you will not be in the same pain that you used to be in when you were that 4-year-old. You can't be. You're grown up. You've lived. You have a self. You have a soul. It's much, much more of a relief to get this burden off of you and not have to go around looking for something that's wrong. It's not a way of happiness. That excitement is just another kind of escape. It's not happiness. Now, what I want to do is this. I made up answers for number 4, 5, 6, and 7 as well, but I was anticipating a little bit of a chat, which takes more time. So what I'd rather do is you can comment below and let me know that you would like the answers to 4, 5, 6, and 7, or you can email me, DrDeb, DrDeb, at DrDeb.com. It's in the description. And you can just tell me from January 11th, I want the explanations for 4 through 7. And I'll write them up on a sheet of paper and send it back to you. And you can download that or copy it or whatever. Because when you get this straight, then you can go to your partner from a healed place. And that's so important. When you are healed, when the person who's cheating is healed, you can go to your partner from that healed, strong place. You can apologize for the cheating. You could vow you will never do it again. And you'll say, let's make this work. And you can make it work. You absolutely can. Now, if you're the person who's been cheated on and you want answers, you still have to look inside yourself. How come you put up with it? Are you afraid? Are you afraid of life without this person? Are you so contented with the pretend crumbs, the little bits that you have in your head, but not in reality from such a person? How come you're not dealing with it in a way that makes things work? Because the person who's cheated clearly needs therapy, but so do you. To investigate yourself, why you put up with it, why something was wrong in the marriage that you couldn't fix and didn't fix together. But now's your time. You can do it now. So let me see if I can. Oh, yeah, I have a note to myself. I have a client she was not cheated on, but she had another issue with her husband. And see, that's the point. You can bring up the issue again and again and again, and it falls on deaf ears when the person you're married to is still comfortable acting as they are acting, and they don't necessarily want to stop. Whether it's cheating or just having a temper, which is not a just, it's a bad thing, or any other kind of betrayal, a cutting off of the relationship. And one day she got serious. She said, nope, I'm ready to leave. Either we turn this around or we're done. Then her partner got into action. Sometimes that's all it takes, and sometimes it takes time inside of you to recognize that you can make it, recognize that you'll be okay. And when you present it, not as a needy person, but as a person who's good with yourself, then it can work. So nobody has chatted in. I would love it if you did. Ask me any questions because we're supposed to be wrapping up now. Ask questions, comments. What did you think of this? Share it. The more people that see it, the better. Okay, I got some shy folks on the other end. All right, I get it. Be well, everyone. Have a great day, and I'll see you all next week on Thursday at 1 p.m. I'm DrDeb.